Interestingly, if you move on to Ben, still working at the regional paper, he complains that even though he's quick at it and adept at it, there's no journalistic value in the web duties that he's asked to perform. Things like logging on to Hootsuite and TweetDeck, rather, and uploading stories for Twitter and Facebook. He says he'd rather be out investigating or developing stories, that he doesn't see it as his job. So yeah, an interesting take, especially from somebody of a younger generation, you might say, or sort of more recent, somebody you might have thought would be more predisposed towards seeing the value in that. Dave, back with Dave, went to his digital project, the one that ended suddenly recently. He said it was interesting how confused it was between its editorial side and its commercial side. There wasn't anywhere near the delineation you'd expect. It was a huge drop in standard from what I was used to. So similar to what Emily was saying about not being able to do the job to the standards she would have expected. But he goes further. He says, it was hard to write editorial because I kept getting told what to do by the marketing people. He said that they might have been trying to follow the sort of model of websites like Vice in their presentation of paid for content, but were more confused about the ethics. He said it was all about clicks and shares, but they failed at all of it. They failed at quality and they failed at clicks and shares. So yes, another expression of disappointment there in going to work on a digital product. So by a traditionally trained journalist finding themselves frustrated or finding the work that they were doing inadequate. Now Becky at her national online newsroom went further. She said, I was not able to fulfill myself. You never left the desk. You barely made a phone call. You had to do about 8 or 9 stories a day and get them on immediately. The vast majority of it was agency copy. She said there were people working there who had no media law training at all. If you questioned the accuracy or the legality of a story, they said, just put it up. And she said as a result they'd get proper complaints every day, so presumably legal or ethical complaints. She says, I've never been to a place like that. It's like a factory farm. She said the extent of investigating the story was to ring up the reporter who'd originally written it and ask them any follow-up questions. She said, I decided to leave journalism. I didn't have the heart to apply for a better job. So interesting that Emily, that's 4 different workplaces. They might all have started, these people, from a similar standpoint in terms of their training, but interesting that Emily would go to a regional online newsroom and find that she wasn't expected to do what she thought was a proper job, or that the format didn't lend itself to that. Becky went to a national newsroom and found, regardless of the working conditions, that the working practices were either unethical or skated over the standards that she would have expected of herself. Dave, who's explicit about only going to these jobs for the money to support his other projects, himself sort of struck a note of disappointment when he went to work on a digital product, again citing the ethics. And Ben, back in a normal regional newsroom, shunning the online work because of the lack of fulfillment that it offers. Interesting to see the sort of optimism of Juza not really being played out there, and the you could quite quickly jump to say that the Marxist prediction of revolutionising working practices, leading to monotony or unfulfilling work really being played out.